Welcome back to another episode of Filmaholic. Today we're going to be talking about Quentin Tarantino, Bounty Law, his new show that he's going to be making, which we saw in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and his future 10th and final film that we'll be speculating and kind of giving our thoughts and what we hope for in that film. So I guess what we should start with here is Bounty Law. So we see lots of bits and pieces of it in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's a black and white show that was supposed to come out in the 1950s. DiCaprio plays the lead in it, and it also Michael Madsen's in it. A couple other actors that he's had cameo in his other films. And Tarantino said that he started writing this while he was making Once Upon a Time, and he ended up writing four or five something like that episodes, all half-hour apiece. Now he's going to make them into a show. What do you think about that?
I'm just wondering which streaming service he's going to use.
That's what I've been wondering too. Yeah, I think it's going to be Netflix, but
or HBO Max.
Maybe that would be Warner Brothers though, and I don't think that he's ever made a film. He hasn't made a film with Warner Brothers, but
I mean, maybe you're right. Netflix or perhaps Starz.
Yeah.
Is that a Sony, I think? Because I know they released a lot of Sony movies on that. They had Spider-Man: Homecoming and Jumanji.
The reason why I think Netflix is if you look at The Hateful Eight, that's where the extended version of Hateful Eight rests, right? It's on Netflix, which also makes me think that the extended version of Once Upon a Time, the 4-hour version that he said is probably coming within the next year or so. Which I'm really excited for that too, by the way.
Or the summer, probably.
Maybe. Hopefully. Sooner the better. But I think that'll drop on Netflix as well.
He has most of his movies on there, so.
Leonardo DiCaprio, it's kind of surprising he's going to do a show now, right?
I mean, I think he's trying to keep up his way in there.
So that'll be something new.
He's just doing it just because he loves working with Tarantino. That's all.
I think so too. Any other big actors you think that we'll see pop up in Bounty Law then?
Probably a Brad Pitt cameo with just doing the stunts.
It's possible.
You know what I mean? He's just one of those he's probably gonna be in there, but he's just gonna be there to do the stunts.
But I definitely think we'll see Michael Madsen and the other people we saw in the little bits and pieces that were in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Maybe some other people. I don't know what Tim Roth was actually playing in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood originally, because he's in the credits, right? We know he shot some scenes, but I have the film and I watched the deleted scenes and I don't see him in any of them, so I don't really know what he was playing. Which I guess we'll get that in the 4-hour cut, but could he be in Bounty Law? I think it's possible.
James Marsden with another cigarette commercial.
Christoph Waltz, maybe he'll pop up and be in it. Give John Travolta something to do. Throw him in a Bounty Law episode.
I hope, man.
But I don't know. I'm excited for it. I think we'll probably get that in 2021. That's what my prediction is. But we'll see. And then, moving on to his final film, which I don't think we're getting until 2024 at least.
You're right. He's about to have a kid, so he's going to want to have some time with that.
I think they'll be at least 4 years after Once Upon a Time. So that would put it at 2023. 2023, 2024, I think probably that's the best bet of when the next one will come out.
You know what? I'm about to make your brain explode.
What?
2027.
You think he's gonna wait 8 years?
Let me tell you why. He's having a kid. I think he's gonna he's gonna want to take help out and stuff because he's been working forever. And then I'm pretty sure when he has the kid, he's not gonna be working on it at the same time. He'll probably jot down get a journal and just write a bunch of random stuff. But I think he's gonna take a break for a bit, enjoy himself.
I think 5 years is max of how long we'll wait. That would put it at 2024. Unless if he makes this Bounty Law show. We know he's making Bounty Law and he's writing a novel, right? That's his next two things that's going to happen.
Which
Unless
I'm
he
fucking novel.
unless he makes those two, and then say he makes Bounty Law and just like falls in love with like the format and like making a TV show. I think it's possible he like goes into television for a little bit and dabs in that before making his final film. So maybe he makes the Bounty Law show, and then maybe he makes that anthology series or something that I mentioned, or maybe he makes another show like Bounty Law or whatever, and he makes like some shows, and then finally comes back like 8-10 years from now and makes his 10th and final film.
I mean, look, he's gonna get a megaphone. You know, he thinks he's the greatest of all time, which
He
he
is.
is. He is. Like, his only competition is himself, to be honest. Okay, I'm just going a bit ahead of myself, but I don't know. I think it's gonna be 2027.
You think he's going to make other shows in between then, or you think he's just not going to do anything? I can't see him not doing anything.
Okay, I think he's going 4 years. He's going to take a break for 4 years, definitely for the kid. But after
Yeah.
that, I think he's going to start. I think around like 2024 to like 2027. He's going to do something. He's going to see like, what the hell? Let me see what I can do. Because a TV show like that's like a probably like real quick right there, 6 months right there.
Yeah, I mean, it won't take long at all to film Bounty Law because say it's 5 episodes and they're a half hour. He said they're half hour, so I mean, and it doesn't look like the budget would be all that expensive for Bounty Law.
If it's
It's
5
got
episodes,
black and white, huh?
if
What?
it's 5 episodes, you can probably just finish them like in a month.
Yeah,
That's pretty much it.
depending on what all happens in the episode. I mean, yeah, and the casting. I mean, getting schedule and everything that would be something to consider, especially with DiCaprio and whatnot. But
I mean,
because we
DiCaprio
know,
anything like that. He's really picky now, so
yeah, DiCaprio has a movie with Scorsese to start to film sometime this year. I think it's in like he said March or April. So he'll be filming that, and probably once he gets done filming that, I would say they might go into production with Bounty Law. Do you have any predictions like what his final film might be, or what you hope it is?
god damn it, man, there's so many fucking options he can do. I
Um,
mean, I want like a Sorrow and Django Unchained movie. I want that. He can do like a Kill Bill Volume 4. He can do like what's Brad Pitt's character from Glorious Bastards? Yeah,
Aldo.
although he can do that. There's there's so many options you just expand on.
Um, I have my notes here, and in my notes, it's like I put, what do I want to see? And one of those is I want to see an original film. I don't want to see anything that's like as far as his final 10th and final film goes. I don't want to see a sequel. I don't want to see a Zorro movie. I don't want to see uh, Kill Bill Volume 3, a spinoff of anything. I don't want to see any of that. I just want another film like Once Upon a Time, another film in the style of that, or Pulp Fiction, or those type films that he's made before. That's what I want for his final film. I don't really care about the genre other than I don't want it to be another Western. Um, I know that at one point that he had that idea for the Australian film in the 1930s and dealing with crime. I don't want that either. I want it to be in either modern day, which is my first choice. I think that it should be in modern day because he hasn't made a modern day film in a while. I want to see what his take on that would be. Or I wouldn't mind if he made a film in either the 80s. That would probably be my second choice, or the 90s, which he's already made. Obviously, he started making films in the 90s, but it'd be cool to see him go back to that time period and make another film now based back then. But I think the 80s would be really cool too, and especially we know that he's very good at shaping his soundtracks in his movies. So imagine what he could do in the 80s with a soundtrack. I think that would be interesting. Once Upon a Time is probably one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. So I think he could do something really special there, even in the 90s.
I mean, the dude watches a lot of movies, so I'm pretty sure he has a lot of music taste.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think he's made a comment. I've been trying to look up some stuff that his final film might be a horror film.
I was about to say that. I was about to say that. I was about to say he can probably try the horror genre.
And that would be interesting. I can't imagine what he would do with horror. Would it be? I mean, obviously, it's not going to be like a ghost type thing. I can't see Tarantino doing anything like that. Wouldn't want him to do something like that. I imagine it would be like a slasher type horror film, which would be awesome. But two things. When I hear him making a horror film, two things come to mind.
What about a slasher film in the 70s?
I'd rather be in the 80s, but
Well, you are in love with the 80s. You would say that.
I mean, I wouldn't be upset if it was the 70s, but the slasher genre is
in the 80s.
More fitted for the 80s, even though Halloween kind of kicked off the slasher genre in the late 70s, but Friday 13th, all of that.
Or you just go to the horror, like the ones from the 1930s and the 40s, like like the really early ones.
I can't. I don't know.
Remember, man, this is Tarantino. This is Tarantino.
His movies are very stylized, though, and I mean, he could put the horror film back then. We don't know. I don't know, but
or probably he's gonna try and take some stuff from a Japanese or basically like from an Asian film, basically.
We're bound to be disappointed with it being his final film, no matter what it is, honestly. I think Once Upon a Time, I don't want that to be his final film because I want another film, but I think that was really suited to be his final movie. But, just for what I want personally, I want it to feel like a Tarantino film. I want it to be full of music. I want it to be stylized. I want it to be, cool like his other, all of his other films. And put it back in like I don't know. I mean, Django has that style too, and it's obviously a period piece. So we'll see. But two things come to mind when I think of him making a horror film, and that one is the fact that he's already done a horror film and sort of with Death Proof. But you can't really look at that to see what he would do next because Death Proof was made to be a B movie. It wasn't like he wouldn't be doing that again with this horror film. And the other thing that comes to mind is the scene in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood on Spawn Ranch, and just how like suspenseful that scene is, and kind of how it like is eerie feeling and different stuff. So I would be interested if he did a horror film.
I think if he does his last film, you know who he's gonna try and bring back?
Who?
I think he's gonna try and bring back as many people he can get from his old movies.
Well, that's another thing I was about to get to is the casting. And I put down here that I think his casting for this final film is going to be a mix of old and new. So I think a lot of people from his past movies are going to be in it, but I think it's going to be some new people too. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was all old people. But
I think he's gonna make a phone call. So he's gonna be like whoever says yes, they're gonna be in it.
So I want to start off with this. I would love to see Brad Pitt again in the final film. I don't think it'll happen though. I also don't think Leo will be in the final film, but it would be nice to see them. I think you're definitely going to get Tim Roth. You're going to get Michael Madsen. You're going to get Zoe Bell. You're going to get Samuel L. Jackson, Kurt Russell. All of those I think you definitely are going to see in the final film. Maybe the two other ones that I put. Well, there's three other people that I think is very likely to be in this final film, but not guaranteed. And that's Christoph Waltz, who has worked with him twice. I wouldn't be surprised if he came back. Margot Robbie. I think that she could definitely be in the final film and might even be the lead because she's worked with them once. It looks like they had a good time working together. I think his final film is going to be another female-led film because he's done that a lot in the past. but not in the past couple films. So I think it'll be female-led. It could be Margot Robbie, making her lead the role this time instead of supporting. And, recently he came out and was talking about Chris Pine and said that he was one of his favorite actors right now. So I think Chris Pine will probably be in the final film.
Like supporting lead, whatever.
Yeah, I think.
I don't know, man. Like, you know what? I think I remember him. He was trying to get Adam Sandler one time, but I think Adam Sandler couldn't commit.
For the Bear Jew?
Yeah, I think he's gonna try and bring Adam Sandler or something. Especially after Uncut Gems, I'm pretty sure Adam Sandler's gonna have a little bit more motivation now to do stuff like that more now.
I would love to see Adam Sandler in a Tarantino film. That would be amazing.
And here's one thing you gotta think about Tarantino. Tarantino has seen from the greatest films of all time to the most shittiest films of all time. So this dude probably has some actors that kind of like, oh, this guy has some talent. Oh, like I like him. Like, dude, he had John Travolta.
Well, I wrote down
Now I'm not dissing John Travolta though, but that just kind of shows he likes people's work no matter like how good or terrible they are.
Well, he sees something special in them. If it was just one performance, he knows that they can get there with the right director. I made a little list here of like some of the actors that I would like to see. The first two I want to throw out is one is Sylvester Stallone. He's not on my top, but the reason I put him in there is probably not. But the reason I put him in there is because he was offered roles in Tarantino's movies twice so far. Once in Jackie Brown for the role that went to De Niro, and then once for Death Proof, which ended up going to Kurt Russell. So it'd be cool to see him in the film. Once again, don't think it'll happen. And Robert Downey Jr. I would like to see him in a Tarantino film because he actually was in Natural Born Killers, which I hated his performance in that film. But so he's sort of been in a Tarantino-ish film. But Iron Man's over. He's on to a new era of his life, and Doolittle, which I just got done seeing, was awful. So he's going to need something to continue his career, and nothing better than a Tarantino film to do that.
All right, I'm gonna throw these. You haven't seen that movie with? Well, obviously I'm gonna say Jake Gyllenhaal, but like, have you seen that movie with the one that Netflix original he did? If you watched that movie and that how his character was in that, I think he would do good in a Tarantino film.
I'm sure. I don't know that Jake Gyllenhaal would be bad in anything really. Like the film might be bad, but I don't think he would be bad in it. A couple other names I want to throw out is Adam Driver. I think he would be great in a Tarantino film. We know from like him working with Noah Baumbach, he works with very good scripts, very good dialogue-driven stories. So I think Tarantino would be great for him. Same thing goes with Florence Pugh, who's an up-and-coming actor. She's a big actress now, but this past year was her big breakout. We see with Little Women how she does with dialogue. Love to see her in a Tarantino film. Ryan Gosling, because he's my favorite actor. But once again, if Tarantino really likes Chris Pine, that role would probably go to Chris Pine instead of Gosling. Shia LaBeouf would be very cool to see. And I also wrote down Seth Rogen and Scarlett Johansson.
Because Tarantino has watched a lot of Marvel films, so I'm gonna throw us a couple of Marvel actors. Maybe Chris Evans.
Chris Evans has worked after you've seen Knives Out. Also, Chris Hemsworth, if you've seen Bad Times, I think he could do something interesting in a Tarantino film.
John Hamm.
John Hamm was on my list. That was the last one I had to say.
Maybe Harrison Ford, if he's still alive.
That's somebody I thought of. I didn't put him down, but I mean, obviously, I would love that, but I can't see it happening.
Maybe Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, man. He can do some.
He's fine.
Work. He can do some work. You're like me. I see talent when you don't, Matt. I'm just,
It's okay.
maybe, maybe Lady Gaga.
Yeah, that could be good.
Uh, Matthew McConaughey,
Maybe.
Meryl Streep.
That'd be interesting. Tell you one that would be awesome, but it's not going to happen because he's retired, and that's Daniel Day Lewis.
Son of a bitch. I thought you were about to say Robert Redford. I was about to say Robert Redford.
Is Robert Redford really retired though?
I mean, he came
That's
back for Avengers.
right.
Mickey Mouse showed him that blatant check. He was just like, no, I'm retired. He was like, hey, you know what? Fucking, Brett Favre came out of retirement. Oh, who else, man?
Arnold.
I would like to see that, especially if they do like an '80s one
Yeah.
or '90s. That'd be good right there. A little callback. Oh man, I'm trying to think of who else.
Al Pacino. Again.
Al Pacino, Joe Pesci.
De Niro again. Joe Pesci.
Joe,
That's definitely not going to happen.
it's not gonna happen, man. That dude even showed up to the Golden Globes. Yet again, I will only go to Golden Globes just to get drunk. I'm just being honest. Um, you're gonna like this one.
Your boy
Sam
Joaquin Phoenix.
Depends. Your boy Sam Rockwell,
I thought about Sam Rockwell. That'd be awesome.
Michael B. Jordan.
Maybe.
I mean, if he made it work with Jamie Foxx, he can make this work. He can make this work.
I mean, definitely. Yeah.
Laken Smith.
Who?
What was that dude's name again? I said it wrong. From Sorry to Bother You.
Lakeith Stanfield.
Yeah, like King Stanfield. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, obviously he's gonna bring back Samuel L. Jackson to this.
Yeah, and that was the last thing I want to mention here is that I said that earlier that Samuel L. Jackson I definitely 100% think will be in this film. And my hope kind of is that his role will be big enough and good enough in this film to get him an Oscar.
Because he's great in every Tarantino film.
And that's a lot, maybe that's a lot to ask for and maybe a lot to think that might happen, but if you look so far, I think two people's won Oscars, or no, one person's won an Oscar, but it was 2 times for a Tarantino film, and that was Christoph Waltz for a supporting actor for both Inglourious Basterds and Django Unchained. Brad Pitt's hopefully going to win this year for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, also for supporting. So as many times as Samuel L. Jackson has worked with Tarantino, this being his final film, like it'd be nice to see him like get nominated or maybe win for supporting actor role.
Look, man, I just want my damn Django and Chainsaw movie. Look, I'm being greedy. I don't give a fuck. Honestly, I don't care what I get because it's still gonna be good.
Here's my thought with this too, and you were talking about this whole. I think we're gonna get his final film before 8 years, but something that is interesting is if he could maybe if he goes and makes TV shows or whatever, maybe he goes into producing more because we haven't really seen him like produce a film that he didn't make. Um, Maybe that Star Trek movie, he's already said he's not directing it, but maybe that movie comes out and he produces it. I don't think that movie is going to happen, but let's just say it does. He produces that film. Maybe they make the Django Zorro film. Maybe he produces that but doesn't direct it.
You know who can be a good director?
Who?
You don't know him, but you've seen the movie. The director from Blind Spotting. Remember that one?
Yeah, I didn't like that movie, but
You can tell like there's some glimpses like he had that Spike Lee into it, so I'm pretty sure he can do well with a Tarantino film. And when I mean Spike Lee, I mean like the camera work and all that.
yeah, I got more Spike Lee vibes than I did Tarantino.
Yeah, so I think he could do a good job with a Tarantino film.
What if they announced tomorrow that The movie is coming out. It's going to be produced by Tarantino, but Robert Rodriguez is directing it. All right, and guys, that's our episode.